Taylor Shabusiness will be spending the rest of her life in prison with zero possibility of parole. That's what we just found out earlier today during her sentencing. So, of course, the immediate questions that came through after she was handed this sentence: Jumpsuit, what do you think is going to happen to her? What's it going to be like in there for her? Are people going to want to even be her cellmate? Or do you think she'll get beat up? What do you think is going to happen? Lots of questions. Well, I'm going to answer that. If you don't know, or you're new to the channel, as someone who recently finished spending 10 years in the state prison system, as well as now at this point, I've conducted multiple interviews with former female prison inmates, because we are talking about a female prison inmate, and that can differ from the male prison experience. So kind of combining both of those experiences and just what I've learned from that, I'm going to give you my answers. So let's get down to Shabusiness. Yeah, see what I did there? But seriously, so let's kind of start with this. Hey, is she even going to be around other inmates? Will she have a cellmate? Are they going to keep her isolated? Won't she be in protective custody? Every time you got some big, well-known case like this, and all the others, they just put them on protective custody and you never hear from them again, and no one will ever see them again? No, that's not true. Now, yeah, she'll definitely be on protective custody for maybe, I wouldn't be surprised if she was on there for a year once she gets to prison. But eventually, the heat's going to die down. The coverage is going to stop. The name won't ring the same bells. No one's going to care. The inmates aren't going to care. And they only have so much space at these prisons that are chronically overcrowded all throughout the country, by the way. They only have so much space for people who actually need some protective custody. And, there's just not that big of a threat against Taylor Shabusiness. And I'll go into why there's not next. But there's just not a big enough threat for Taylor Shabusiness to just stay on protective custody for literally her entire life that she has left on this earth. They need that space. There's going to be people who come in who genuinely need protection for various reasons. Taylor Shabusiness, in my opinion, does not need protection. People need protection from her. And that's another thing I'm going to talk about. This is actually a video. I was very interested in making this video because a lot of times I kind of do these in a series. I cover all the big cases, what's going to happen to all these big, well-known people in prison. And a lot of them kind of turn out to be the same because the same rules always kind of apply to these people when the variables match up and are consistent. There's a lot of things about her that are different from most of the people I cover, and that changes things. And so my answer here is going to be very different for this video compared to the others that I've made in this same style. Would they survive? What will happen to them in prison? So maybe you're thinking, oh, okay, Jumpsuit. Well, so basically you're telling me she's not going to be on protective custody for too long in comparison to how long she has to serve. And she will be going into general population and she will be around other inmates. That's what you're saying, right? It's very possible, yes, but it's complicated because it's also very possible only because we're talking about Taylor Shabusiness that she doesn't get to go into general population, or if she does, and I think this is probably going to be more so the case, she will get to go into general population, but it's not going to last very long. And here's why. They don't stick you in isolation, solitary confinement, special housing unit, whatever you want to call it, protective custody. There's many forms of isolation that are separated from the bigger general population parts of the prison for different reasons. Because she doesn't have charges that are going to be judged by other inmates. Because, yeah, I've said it before, inmates are not going to pass judgment on her for killing a grown man. As awful as it was, as sickening as the details are, they're not going to judge her for doing what she did to who she did it to. That kind of really only comes into effect when you have people who harm children or did, that kind of stuff to children, And honestly, that really a lot of times you could say it only applies to men's prisons, because just from the female inmates I've talked to, even the ones who do have those charges, nobody really makes a big deal about it. It's, in that way, the men's and women's prisons are different. And that's just the facts for the majority of prisons in the country. They have no reason to keep her on protective custody, and she should be able to go into general population. They don't keep you there because your crime that you're here for is really bad. They separate you and isolate you and like put you in less desirable housing situations within the prison as a consequence, as a punishment for when you break prison policy, break prison rules, or straight up break the law while you're in prison. Because, I mean, that's the only way they can have some type of control or create some type of incentive or desire for inmates to not just go wild if there's no reason to not do all this bad stuff, then why not just do it? Because you'll lose privileges, you'll getting worse, you'll be placed in worse living conditions, worse living situations. And so the only reason you're going to see her not really eventually be able to go to general population, or if she goes to general population, not stay there long, is if she acts out, does crazy stuff, does wild stuff, breaks the rules, attacks people, lashes out at people, hurts people. And guess what? If you know about Taylor Shabusiness, I have never felt more confident that an inmate that I'm talking about in a video was absolutely going to lash out, pop off, lose their stuff, hurt somebody, attack somebody, hit somebody, spit on somebody, you name it. I have never been more confident that an inmate that I'm talking about is going to do that than Taylor Shabusiness. Why? Well, I mean, for one reason, she's already done it several times. She did it in court. She did it during her trial. She attacked her lawyer, didn't she? And during her sentencing, they got this big spit mask on her, which tells me she's been spitting on officers, maybe spitting on nurses. We don't know. They didn't tell us. And they're not always going to tell you everything, but she's been spitting on people because they don't just. How many big cases have you seen brought in with a spit mask? Most of them don't. So that tells you right there. They don't just put it on you because they got a good feeling you might spit. You've been spitting, you've been biting, or you've been doing something. She's acting a fool in there. And not just in there, she's in the courtroom. And this kind of brings me to my next point. Inmates, are they going to beat her up? Is she in for a rude awakening? She's going to get around some real inmates now. Yeah, she's going to get messed up. No, I don't think so. Number one, just, leading off with the fact that the former women inmates I've talked to, they've already kind of confirmed that, it's not, their prison isn't like that in the way that men's prison, you got people going out of their way to really just hurt you and bring some violence to you for various reasons. The girls, it's a lot more like social cliques, social groups, divided here and there, a little more, you can imagine it's more like that. And if you have somebody really cross the line about something that's going on right there in that cell block, then you might have a fight break out or something. So I don't think anyone's itching to go confront the woman who has cut body parts off of a man and giggled about it, cackled about it during the interrogation. Loved it. She loved it. I don't think anybody's going to bring her any problems. I think she's going to bring the problems to people. And that may be the reason she doesn't end up in general population. But I just wanted to clear it up. People are like, oh, she's basically famous or infamous, whichever you want to call it. Everybody knows about her. We all watched her trial. She's all over YouTube. She's all over the news. They'll keep her in protective custody because she's so high profile. No, they may keep her isolated from general population because she acts out. She hurts people. She attacks people so regularly, so often, that she genuinely is a security threat. She's a violent, unpredictable inmate. She wants to hurt people. And here's the thing, even if she didn't do that and she made it in a general population, let's say she's there for however long, do you think she'll have a cellmate? I mean, yeah, I'm sure she'll have a cellmate, or they'll try to put her in a cell with another cellmate. But I'll tell you right now, if it was me in there and they brought her in there and they said, here's your cellmate, and I'm just a woman inmate, in there doing my time, and they bring her in, I'm not staying in there. I'm not staying in there. That lady is a cold-blooded killer. And it's not so much, well, what if, her cellmate is bigger than her and stronger than her? Maybe she can fight a little better than her. They wouldn't care then, would they, Jumpsuit? I think they would. And, it's not about being bigger, stronger, or fighting better. I think it's about when you, as a guy who's done a decade in there, your cell is your home. Your cell is where you have your peace of mind. When you're locked back in that cell for the day, for the night, you have to sleep, eat, and use the bathroom in that thing. You are most vulnerable in there. You need to not have the stress of worrying or having to keep one eye open on your inmate, on your cellmate. And it's like, well, you could even take the approach to maybe just make sure you don't tick her off. Don't make her mad. Don't sass or mouth off to her. Then she won't, then she won't even try to, it's not about that. She doesn't do what she did. She didn't do what she did, and she doesn't do what I feel she wants to do again because somebody made her mad. She doesn't want to kill you. She doesn't want to hurt you because you mouthed off or you gave her attitude. She did what she did because she loved it. She gets a high from it. She loved it. She laughed about it. She smiled about it, cackled about it. She bragged about it. She told us how much she enjoyed what she did just for the thrill of killing. That's dangerous. I don't care if I could beat the crap out of you straight up face to face. If we're in the cell, I'm not going to sleep with someone who literally just has this itch to kill people because they love it. I mean, didn't this girl say her idol, or she looked up to Jeffrey Dahmer? This is a different level. This isn't about, oh, I can fight a little better. I'm pretty strong myself, or I'll kind of tiptoe around her. I'll make sure not to make her mad, which, by the way, is no way to live for years and years and years, having to constantly tiptoe around the person you are stuck in a cell with. That sucks. But it's not even about that. You could be the greatest, nicest person ever, and she just wants to kill you. She just wants to hurt because it's fun. Made me feel good. It felt good. That's what she said. So I don't think anyone's going to want to be her cellmate, but I think she will have the chance to be in a cell with somebody, or if nothing else, just be in general population. But again, I don't think it will last long because I genuinely believe she's going to hurt somebody. If not, take someone else's life back there. What does she have to lose now? She's never going home. She did it when she had everything to lose. And fun fact, I know there's a small group of people out there who are like, wait, Jumpsuit, you're tripping. She only did what she did because she took a lot of drugs. She was on these drugs, these powerful drugs, and that's what made her snap, and that's why she did it. It was just, not that I agree with that, because I don't, and I don't think it's that simple, but if that's the way you feel, I'll tell you this. A lot of prisons, it's easier to get those same drugs that she was on in that prison than it is out there on the streets, out there in society. Because in society, what is she? Maybe she has to drive like 15 minutes down the road to meet this guy to get drugs from. In prison, you can go 3 cells down. You can walk 5 feet and knock on. Hey, here's 15 soups. I'd like a little bag. She might get on it again and might do something. It's just something to think about. So, closing thoughts. Is she going to have any problems from the inmates in there? I don't think so. I think she's going to bring problems to the other inmates, and she's going to bring it up until the point where they're like, this girl is too out of control. Lock her away. And so for that reason, I think she will not be in general population. But I do not think she'll automatically never have the chance to go unless she screws up and attacks someone before she's all right. All right, here you go. Let's send you in there to general pop. Let's see how you do. She could very well she could tomorrow attack somebody and they'll just be like, well, let's just never let her off. She's clearly, which is very possible because she's out of her mind. So there's my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it answered your questions, and let me know what you think. Do you think I'm full of crap? Jumpsuit, you don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. Or do you agree? Did I hit it right on the head? Let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe because I will be back soon with another video.